back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
The UFC's current light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier is coming out and saying that he feels like he got pissed on by a skunk with this most recent loss to Jon Jones, and just this entire situation that we all know what happened at UFC 214. Daniel Cormier was knocked out by Jon Jones, who later tested for the second time for steroids and was stripped of his belt, and it was given back to Daniel Cormier. So now it's like a lot of people are like, yeah, you're the champion, but you just got knocked out. And on top of being knocked out, we all know, he cried in the octagon, got turned into the MMA version of the Michael Jordan crying meme. He himself uses the meme on social media. I mean, Daniel Cormier was embarrassed at the hands of Jon Jones and then given his title back. So now he's right back in a position of being the champion. And he himself said, yeah, I don't feel like the champion yet. I got to get this stench off of me from UFC 214. It's almost like I got pissed on by a skunk. We know Daniel Cormier is going to be coming up and fighting Volkan Ozdemir at UFC 220, defending his title for the first time since being knocked out. And he's going to be fighting a knockout artist, Volkan Ozdemir. I mean, this dude Volkan Ozdemir is knocked out his last two opponents, both of them top 5 ranked light heavyweights in the UFC, undefeated in the UFC. I mean, Daniel Cormier does have his hands full, but he's a wrestler, going to be going against a striker. He's not going to be going against the fucking juiced up Jon Jones, so that's definitely in his favor. I mean, Daniel Cormier is, and that's part of the reason why this loss affects him so much to Jon Jones. Daniel Cormier doesn't fucking lose, bro. He said he has nightmares from this. I'll read what he had to say real quick, but I mean, I can understand why this is sitting with Daniel Cormier. He's not a guy used to losing. This is what he had to say. On July 29th, I was there. I was in the octagon on July 29th at Anaheim, and it was all going so good until it wasn't anymore, and I just lost the fight. So that has not changed. I still need to go out against Volkan Ozdemir and beat this guy to feel like myself again. I feel like there's a stench on me. It's almost like I got pissed on by a skunk, and I just stink everywhere I go. So until I can really get a really good bath to get this stink off of me by beating Volkan Ozdemir, I feel as I do right now. That's just me. I'm a competitor, man. I know I lost that fight. I can't erase that memory. I still have nightmares. Arrow asked him to elaborate on like the nightmares. Like, you have nightmares? And he was like, yeah, I still dream about losing in wrestling in the NCAA finals. And that's why I was saying Daniel Cormier is not a guy that's used to losing. He's only lost one official time in his professional MMA career at 2 weight classes. He was undefeated heavyweight. Didn't want to fight his teammate for the title, Cain Velasquez, so said, you know what? I'm gonna go down to light heavyweight. Now he's at light heavyweight, wrecking fucking shop, crashing everybody in his path, not named Jon Jones, who both times, you could literally argue both times Jon Jones was on steroids when he fought Daniel Cormier, because the first time they fought was pre-USADA. The second time, and since then Jon Jones had his dick pills USADA failure. The second time they fought, he popped for the second time, which was worse than the first time, because if you know you've got to be super careful, if you know you've been reckless before, if you know you've had USADA violation before, you would think you would be extra careful. And no, Jon Jones still popped dirty, so why would you assume that he was clean the first time before the strict testing? So with that being said, Daniel Cormier, you could argue, has never lost in his professional MMA career. People say Jon Jones was undefeated because he lost a fight due to throwing a illegal strike, but really he wasn't losing that fight. Well, you could take away, what do you have to say about Jon Jones's PED convictions? Does that clear up Daniel Cormier's loss before USADA? I don't know. I mean, because Daniel Cormier, and this is why we have this argument, Daniel Cormier's never been popped by USADA. He said himself, I've been tested at Olympic levels since before I joined the UFC, and I've never had an issue with drug test failure. So it is with Jon Jones. But Daniel Cormier is looking forward to his fight with Volkan Ozdemir to help him erase some of those demons, get over some of those demons of a loss, even though some people like me personally, I can't hold it against him, that loss versus Jon Jones. For one, it was overturned. So that knockout loss that we all just saw at UFC 214, that's not even on his record. He still does have one loss from years ago that was to Jon Jones, but as I said, that was before USADA and before everything we've known today. And that's why I still believe Daniel Cormier is a little underrated. If you go to the UFC.com right now, pound for pound rankings, Jon Jones was #1. Whenever he beat Daniel Cormier dropped, but even after Jon Jones tested positive for steroids and was stripped of his title, you would think Daniel Cormier would get a little bit more stock in them pound for pound rankings. He's a guy that's never lost to anybody except for the pound for pound greatest fighter who was on steroids. So who's better than Daniel Cormier? Who's better than, you know what I'm saying, as far as pound for pound? 2 weight classes, defended his title, undefeated if you're not counting his loss versus a guy that was on steroids. When you look at Demetrius Johnson, he fought at a higher weight class and he's lost before. When you look at Conor McGregor, he's lost before. He's fought at multiple weight classes, but he's never defended a belt. So Daniel Cormier is a guy that hasn't lost, that has successful at multiple weight classes, and he's still only ranked under everybody. I mean, he's only like #5 on the pound for pound ranking. So with that being said, I've said enough. It is what it is. Let the full-time family know what the fuck you talking about in the comments. I'm out. And by the way, Daniel Cormier's fighting at UFC 220 versus Volkan Ozdemir. Also on that card is Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. That is the heavyweight and light heavyweight champions defending their belts on the same card. That's gonna be so fucking I don't even know the other 3 fights on the pay-per-view, and I'm telling you right now, that shit is gonna be great. At least to me, it's worth the money already, just with the 2 heaviest weight division champions defending their titles on the same card. Yo, I'm fucking pumped. With that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what the fuck you talking about in the comments.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOWG.